for the October 8th session into call it to order. And we will start with a roll call from my left, please.
Red Harbison.
Jesse Elliott.
Lynn Carter.
And I am Bob Bigger, acting as chair in the absence of our normal chair, Dr. Christine Crawford, who is out of town this week. We will start with the approval of the minutes from the September 20th, 2023 regular meeting. They have been sent out ahead of time. Anybody have any questions or corrections from the minutes from the September 20 meeting? No issues. Motion to approve.
Motion approved.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Minutes are approved. Confirmation of agenda. Tommy, looking at the agenda, the article number 5 and number 7 look to be the same item. Is there some difference in that, or?
No, so they're the same.
Okay, and again, in the interest of some of the attendees in the audience tonight, can we strike 5 and then go into 6 and then come back to 7 and 8 after that?
Absolutely, sir.
All right. That doesn't need a vote or anything official. And again, I want to welcome our guests tonight in the audience and on Facebook. Again, we've got first item is a public. Is it got public comment in that?
Yes.
Tonight? Okay. So we'll just a reminder for those that are here to speak on that. We will review the agenda item, discuss it on the commission, take comments from the applicant, and then open it for public discussion before we vote on it. So, anything else we need to know for tonight, Tommy?
I believe that's it, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Then we will go into item 6 on the agenda, PP 22-005, Bluegrass Place roadway and utility preliminary tract. Anything you want to tell us what's going on here? Give us the update on this real quick.
Yes, sir. This is a 51.85 acre plus or minus development. Y'all have seen the concept plan, the sketch plan on that. Y'all also saw the general development plan for this PD. It's a mixed use with apartments, single family attached, single family detached, and commercial that runs between East Buena Vista and Martintown Road. This gives you an idea of the track. Subject parcels, and this is the overall general layout of how the subdivision. You see the Monterey Mexican restaurant. That's not really part of this project, but it is part of the project, and I say that because the developer is working with them on the egress. They're working with the developer to make some changes and with Monterey's so that the traffic flows smoother and then can accommodate their development. And for everything that we know, this has been a positive. The one thing, and in the conditions, they have the road names selected. And please excuse me. Preakness Boulevard and Capote Run as road names. That would be one of the approvals that they're asking for tonight, as well as the preliminary plat. This is the general layout. You have, in this area is multifamily, in this area is residential. We have commercial here. There's a retirement home and medical in here. This curve right here is going to be addressed by staff. That's a little too sharp of a curve, and that's one of the comments that they're going to fix. In fact, we got a set of plans yesterday, and I believe that fixes this, little curve here. So I have talked with SCDOT about the traffic improvements required. All that's required is some re-signalization at Martintown and Atomic Road. Any questions for me? And the applicant is here to speak, Mr. Rivers Capers.
You'll approach the podium and give your name and address, please.
Rivers Cape, 201 River Place, Suite 400, Greenville, South Carolina. As Tommy said, we've worked really closely with both the city, Cranston, the Monterey's owner, and DOT on this master plan. We're pretty close to finalizing a land swap and improvement agreement with Monterey's parcel. And as Tommy said, there's a new set of plans that we submitted yesterday, I believe, that addresses most, if not all, of the remaining city comments. And if there's any additional questions or information you'll need from me, I'm happy to answer what I can.
And kind of to add on to that, what you're approving tonight is basically the infrastructure. To put the roadways in, the water, the sewer, that kind of stuff. And up here at the top, you can see where they have been down there here, and also here, they've been doing some drainage work. And this one up here was in partnership with the city, taking care of some existing drainage issues in partnership. So they haven't gotten ahead of us on that, if you see trees come down.
So again, just for clarification, our request tonight is to approve the streets as presented here, with a slight change in the curve that's been updated on Capo Run, and to then also approve the names of Capo Run and Preakness Boulevard. Preakness Boulevard.
Yes, sir, with the following conditions, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Is conditional on approval and implementation of any traffic mitigation required by SCDOT and the city. The major subdivision and preliminary plat approval includes certification for the use of the road names Caput Run and Preakness Boulevard, and that any outstanding comments will be addressed to the satisfaction of city staff.
Are there any other questions for the applicant?
Is it appropriate to ask the question about the land swap with Monterey? I'm just curious as far as the access points and everything.
So what we're planning to do is basically eliminate their existing access onto Martintown, which is where our spline road comes into Martintown, and then move their parking lot to the area labeled Tract H. They'll have two connections, I believe, one or two connections to Capo Run and one to Bluegrass, or sorry, not Bluegrass. Preakness. And then I know we're fairly close to finalizing that land swap agreement. I think there's one or two minor comments we're going back and forth on, but we're still planning to enter into that with him. And the city has seen a preliminary plan, I believe, for the Monterey site, which will fully engineer and submit.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, sir.
Comments from the public?
Comments, issues, discussion? Hearing none, we can call this to a vote. Do I have a motion to approve as presented with the conditions? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, public comment. Sorry, I'm new at this. Still in my sophomore season. Would like to open this up to public comment if anybody has any questions on this. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment section and again come back looking for a recommendation and motion.
You guys are quiet tonight.
I can't do it.
I can't do it. I'll make a motion that we approve the preliminary plat, major subdivision for PP 22-002 Bluegrass Place roadway and utility plans with the conditions stated on page 7 of the staff report, and also the approval of the street names of Preakness Boulevard and Caput Run.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion's approved.
All right, so back to the development code we go.
All right, next item on the agenda. The Development Code rewrite review. Planning Commission has been reviewing comments received by City Council and recommendations on the recent Development Code rewrite. We've spent some time in the study session reviewing these, but we'll hand it back over to Mr. Paradise to guide us through the recommendations.
You want me to pick up where we left off in the work session?
Do that, or do just, yeah, okay.
I think we were on the buffer width. The proposed code, yes, I read that to y'all, and that was where we were at the end of the work session. Is what do you want to do with the buffer?
I feel like, again, I don't necessarily see enough to change the conclusion we originally came to. I mean, I understand what they're saying, and I don't like the idea of taking a property and being told what I can and can't do with the property I own. But I do also understand how protecting streams and things like that affect more than just your property. So they have to be, protected like that. And if obviously some of these other pretty successful counties are doing these things or even more stringent than what we're recommending, I don't really see a reason to change it.
Kind of leave as is. The next one is 13.6.1 detention pond screening. Remove the proposed requirement for screening a detention pond. Leave this decision up to the developer to decide if spending the money to screen the detention pond is beneficial to the development or not. Staff comments there, or if the residents decide they want it screened, that property is eventually deeded to the city. So if after the development is deeded, all that infrastructure, and it needs to be screened, that would be something that the city would have to pay for at that point.
Or by screen, are you talking about like on the fence?
Bushes
Okay,
around it.
Okay, thank you.
got 2 nods.
I agree.
I don't think we should remove it.
The other one is one that y'all discussed a good bit, preliminary approval. Is 16.8.2, continue with the current practice that staff report doesn't have a recommendation, but rather how the project fits within the development code or where it doesn't. You do hire staff for their professional expertise, but this opens the door for personal opinions to override whether the project meets the rules or not. Staff's position on it is whatever y'all want, we're gonna do. And Planning Commission, whenever it was here before, said that y'all wanted a recommendation. You want to change your mind? That's fine with us. Just tell us what you want.
I'm fine with the recommendations. I mean, I think you're very clear that it is just a recommendation and that it's ultimately our choice.
Yeah.
The other one, and this is the last one on the development code, is about financial guarantees. Currently, we require a letter of credit. We don't accept bonds. You either pay cash, and we put that into account and hold it, or you provide a letter of credit. They would like to be able to have the option of bonding and do a performance bond or a maintenance bond instead of a letter of credit or cash. Consider allowing surety bonds from a bonding company with a rating of B+ or higher as an alternate to letters of credit. Letters of credit require a large amount of money to be tied up and counted against the developer's balance sheet. Banks don't like them because they're not part of the loanable balance sheet available to the bank lending. Now, we reached out to the city attorney, and I've reached out to some surrounding areas. The city attorney, Kelly Zier, advised he would suggest remaining with letters of credit. All of the other jurisdictions, except Aiken County, recommended staying with the letters of credit. However, Aiken County does have letters of credit, and a bond is with an insurance company that may want, you're filing a claim against an insurance company when you go against a bond. Whereas the system of cash or letter of credit, we don't have to fight that battle. We've got the money sitting there. We go get it if we need to. So that is the difference. But staff would recommend leaving it as is. So, do you want to make a motion on what we've got? Do you want me to kind of read it back to y'all, what you've said, or?
To make a motion, we'll need to say all the changes individually, is that correct? Or is if you read it back with the changes we've made, then the motion could be made on that?
Well, what we might do is me bring back the verbiage next month.
Corrected with the
and then
things
y'all
that we-
vote on that. That's okay. Okay. That would be the final approval. I think I've got everything classified here the way y'all want it.
Do we need to have public comments for,
That's up to you, Mr. Chairman. If you want to allow public comments, you may.
they've spent plenty of time sitting here. Yeah, we'll open up the floor for those that have sat through an hour and a half of us discussing this to come. And again, for anybody that tuned in at 7 o'clock for this, we spent the 6 o'clock study session reviewing this in in detail during most of that hour, but the attendees in the audience have sat through that and have heard all the early discussion. I want to give them a chance to share their input and feedback on this as well. So if anybody has some comments, we'll welcome you to come to the podium and give us your name and address and share your comments.
I love to speak. You know that. Jason Winkter, 17578 Atomic Road, Aiken, South Carolina, 29803. Actually, I do appreciate the opportunity to come back up here. I think that's one thing maybe our side and your side lacks a little bit, is the opportunity to really get down in detail on a lot of these things. But, you know, how much time does everybody have? I understand that side of it too. I think there's, I don't want y'all to be offended when I say this, but y'all not being directly in our business, you don't necessarily see some of the unintended consequences or some of the things day to day that we see in a lot of these items that we brought up. And so that's why we kind of collectively as a group got together before the Planning Commission meeting, before City Council meeting, and try to summarize. So, you know, I came to you back in February, March with a little bit different list. You know, some of my own ideas and then some from the industry. And we just tried to kind of boil those down to get it more simple. So I don't really want to go back through everything again, because I think we probably have a friendly difference of opinion on a lot of those. I mean, y'all have heard us talk, and I've heard y'all's discussion. So, I mean, I would just hope, you know, Tommy and our group, I've had a lot of discussion on this too. I think, you know, again, I'm not going to go back through point by point, because I think at this point, we just move on, and maybe, you know, we'll talk about it some more in detail with City Council. But again, you know, I would hope that the dialogue would stay open, you know, between the Home Builders Association and Planning Commission and staff, because I think it's good to do that, good to work out some of these before we get to a meeting like this where everybody's limited on time and we can't really get into the details. So I'm going to leave my comments at that for tonight. Again, I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Mr. Winkter. Anybody else have any comments? Again, Mr. Winkter and others there in the audience, we do appreciate, you know, what you've contributed to this process. We acknowledge that and understand that, right, we are, you know, wearing different hats and different shoes than you guys are, and have different perspectives, and we're gathering our information from multiple sources. And I know you've been involved, you know, early on in a lot of this process. So we thank you for what you've done, and, you know, hope you understand where we are and you know, how we got to where we are today. But certainly we'll keep the lines of communication open. So thank you for coming out tonight.
So Tommy, you'll bring back formal changes and everything next month for our...
That's my plan, as long as I get it back from the consultant. But I would certainly hope so. We're ready to get this back to City Council.
Next item on the list is the impact fees review. Mr. Paradise, want to explain that to us?
Yes, sir. On Monday night, the City Council passed a resolution that directing the Planning Commission to develop a capital improvement program and recommend an impact fee ordinance pursuant to South Carolina Code 6-1-950. The next phase on that is to get some professional help. The Planning Commission may direct the planning director to develop and advertise a request for proposal for the development of capital improvement plan and the impact fee. You may remember right at a year ago, October 11th, a year ago, in the joint council planning commission meeting, we first started discussing impact fees. Council's now ready for us to move forward with that. And so the first step is to hire a consultant that will evaluate the city. And the impact fees are for transportation and for infrastructure, water, sewer, and stormwater. And to develop a capital improvement plan and to develop an impact fee schedule that we can justify. So since the Planning Commission has been directed to do this, I'm asking y'all to direct me to move forward with doing an RFP to get that consultant on board.
Make a motion to direct you henceforth to do that.
A motion and a second. Any
Who
questions?
made the second?
Any other comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Proceed.
And the September performance report, I can tell you that at the current time, our planning department is working at almost capacity. We are, the term feast or famine comes to mind, and we have a lot going on in a lot of different directions. You saw bluegrass in here. We have had a preliminary plat for the hive submitted. We've had plans for the hive submitted, preliminary plat, the initial review for Alidade, which is a subdivision formerly known as Highland Springs, formerly known as the Blanchard Tract. So there is a lot going on in our office there. I would also tell you, as far as city news, in case you missed it, our assistant city administrator has accepted a position with Lexington, the town of Lexington, as their new city administrator. So if you see her, please reach out and give her your congratulations. We're real proud that she's moving forward there. It's like the mayor said, it's a loss for us and a gain for them. Have any questions for me?
Sir, thank you for your guidance and leadership through all this tonight, through the study session and the regular meeting. So, any other questions, comments? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.